So one of my rules is I don't do coffee or drink dates. Now, I understand that some women like this or prefer this because it's a quick turnaround, 30 to 45 minutes. If you don't like him, you can get out of there. It works for some people. If you like it, I love it. This video is not for you. Keep scrolling. However, for me, as for me and my household, we're going to have higher standards. I'm talking to this guy, and I'm going to read it to you because we've been talking for a couple days, and he started talking about meeting up. So he said, we should get together over some pear and lychee cocktails soon. And I said, that's really sweet, but I prefer dinner. I like to get dressed up. Now, I always try to say it nicely because I don't want to be like, I don't accept drink dates. Like, you don't have to be mean. You don't have to be, you can be nice about it, but I let's just say I prefer dinner because I like to get dressed up. And he said, I see. What type of places do you have in mind? So I sent him a list of places that I've been like wanting to try, all sorts of different budgets, okay? It ranges from like medium to a little bit higher, all different locations around the city, so he can choose like what works for him, you know, timing and budget wise. So I sent the list of places. He says, these places sound really nice. I think it'll be fun to get to know each other over some nicer dining options. Here it comes though. But I wanted to let you know up front that if we were to meet at one of those places, I'm comfortable splitting the check. I usually will do drinks or something on the simpler end for the first meetup to see if there's a connection first. So my thing is, I don't like the coffee or drink date because they're trying to audition you to see if you are worth an actual dinner. This is the thing for me. Like, I know men. The number one thing men are judging you off of is your looks, right? When they see you, they meet you, they're gonna be like, okay, how beautiful is she? Is she put together? Do I find her attractive, right? That's the number one thing. Your personality may come second, sure, but the first thing is how you look, right? So with that in mind, my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer costs $32, okay? Why would I put on a full face of expensive makeup, do my hair, make sure my nails are done, make sure there's no hair on my body, and then come and spend 2 hours of my time talking to you for an $8 coffee or a $16 cocktail? Be oh so for real. Let's take it even deeper. When women go out with a man that they do not know, they take a huge risk. Men are crazy, okay? Do you watch the news? Like 1 in 5 men are violent. He could unalive you, he could RAPE you, he could stalk you, he could harass you if he feels like it. Like, it is very dangerous, extremely dangerous. When you go out with a man, you have to share your location with your mom and your friend. You have to send a screen recording of his Hinge profile and the conversation that you guys had so that if you go missing, they have context. You have to text your friend every half an hour while you're with him to let her know that you haven't been beheaded. You have to take an Uber so that he doesn't know what kind of car you have, just in case he's crazy. And then when you get home, you have to text somebody to tell them that you made it home alive. Men aren't doing that. They don't have to worry when they meet a woman that they do not know that their lives will be in danger. Quite the contrary, men benefit from just being seen with you in public, okay? If you are beautiful, poised, well-dressed, it reflects well on him. People look at him and they think, oh wow, he must be the man. Ooh, he probably has money. You know what? He's probably a good guy if he can pull her. And this is especially so if you are more attractive than him. If he's fugly or he's overweight or he's short, they're like, oh yeah, he must have money in order to be able to pull a baddie like that. So my thing is like, what's in it for women? We've already spent more money than you by just putting our makeup on. We're in danger. Like, what's in it for us? So then all of that, plus this man is a pharmacist, okay? You mean to tell me you make upwards of $150,000 per year, but you can't take me to $120 to maybe $200 dinner? 2 drinks, an appetizer, 2 entrees, and a dessert? Like, and that kind of thing, look, men are supposed to be on their like best behavior when they're doing a first interaction with a woman. Like, that is when they are at their absolute best. So if he's being cheap now for a first interaction, he's gonna be cheap on your birthday, he's gonna be cheap on Christmas, like that kind of thing. That only gets worse, it never gets better. That is the type of man that's going to want you to work full time, pay half the rent when you guys move in together, do the majority of the housework because he doesn't want to hire a housekeeper, raise the kids, plan most of the things, and then after you do your 16-hour shift of labor, he's going to want you to be happy and sexy for him for his pleasure that night. Like, that's the kind of life you're looking at. So you know what? Good for this man for asserting his boundary. He did it very nicely, and it showed me what his like attitude or approach is when it comes to dating new women, and ultimately it gave me the opportunities to choose. And I have my boundaries too, so I chose to not accept it. And so I didn't respond or anything. I didn't like bargain with him or try to justify anything. I just quietly unmatched him because I wasn't gonna let him play in my face. But like, obviously, if you're on TikTok, like, this is not irregular discourse. Like, this is very popular. Like, the Red Pill podcast men are always talking about like all of these things. So like, it's not uncommon. Like, men are trying to get away with this these days. They're trying to see what they can do. They're trying to get at you for less than $20. Okay, so the pharmacist tried to give me a coffee date on a Friday. Saturday, a surgeon took me to a beautiful dinner with a view. The next day after that, this other man took me to this food event where the tickets were $250 because he wanted us to have VIP. So don't feel scarce about it, because there are plenty of men, there are a plethora of men that would be more than happy to show you a good time. So never settle. Date until you find the best man for the job, and you got this. That's my TED Talk for the day. You didn't ask, but I felt like you would listen. Send this to one of your friends who needs to raise their standards, and tell me what you feel like in the comments.
And now, for the moment all you motherfuckers been waiting for. All my flip mode niggas rise and await for the most powerful event to occur. The coming!
Let's get this out of the way right off the rip. I bang before I pay for any kind of dinner. To put this in context, I used to live on the West Coast for nearly 3 decades, with part of that encompassing a significant simp phase of my life. Even during that time, I clapped the cheeks before we went to eat my kings. Now, this wasn't a conscious action on my part, it just sort of happened. Keep in mind, I'm talking about Los Angeles, California, a lot of it in Hollywood and beyond. Kings, I'd like to inform you there are some badass motherfucking women in Tinseltown. Badass even on the street level. I mean lint in the pockets, street level, brothers. I've been with some true baddies, and some bust downs too. I don't want to put myself too far out there, but I've been around the block, sown some wild oats. That being said, I could tell you kings some stories, but that would be off subject for this episode. This woman is Yari Shavers, a resident of the state of California and the city of Los Angeles proper. This woman is not a baddie. She is a 5, and I hate making that numerical designation because I think that metric is outdated and obsolete for men in the SYSBM lane of thought and action. I feel it's an honest evaluation of her looks from a man, myself, who has spent a considerable amount of time in her habitat. We'll get to her obvious hypergamous nature in a moment, but first things first. It's giving pink pill vibes. You know, that wretched waste of YouTube space who is even now, as you watch this episode, grifting her brain-dead subs with lame lifestyle courses that are supposed to net them a zaddy. Never mind that no one has seen anyone but Dusty Brads in her corner when she managed it. Yeah, I'm getting pink pill vibes from this artificial woman. Maybe it's her very mid-appearance and larger-than-life entitlement that reads more like a inferiority complex than any kind of real self-confidence. Maybe then it might even be that fake-sounding white girl voice that I've heard legions of black women use in the working world, yet not hesitate to talk niggerish behind closed doors in break rooms and the like. Now don't get it twisted. I believe this is her actual voice. It's just that I've heard it so many times that I feel like it's a manufactured way of pretending you're something you're not. And let's talk about that rampant hypergamy. Like I said before, I banged a lot of women before we ever sat down to any kind of table. It wasn't a conscious decision, and I never thought I was getting away with anything. In the past, whenever I heard a woman talking the way this one did in the clip, I wasn't bothered. I have to admit that most of the women I heard talking like this resembled this woman, and by proxy, the pink pill. The few times I hooked up with one of these pocket-watching Janes, as in plain Jane, it was due to the fact that I was distinctly uninterested in whether or not I was sleeping with them at the end of the night. As an elder statesman of this here ethnic community, I can tell you that I got my ass handed to me sexually once by this rail-thin cutie I'd inadvertently pissed off by unconsciously negging. Afterwards, she told me to go tell my mama about it. That's a quote, honestly. LA is a strange fucking place, and being single in my 20s and 30s there was a revelation that informs this commentary today. This woman can't even hang with some of the basic females I've seen walking the streets in downtown Los Angeles. There are levels to the fucking game if you choose to play it, and from my experience, as I've said before, the women that get the kind of service she's lying about getting never have to utter a single word. Shit just happens, and those that qualify are treated like princesses without having to lobby on social media. This mid-wannabe influencer is trying her damnedest to muddy the waters. It ain't working, at least in LA it ain't. To be honest, kings, this is the kind of woman you always see in large groups at clubs on Friday and Saturday nights, riding the coattails of real baddies getting in for free because of their looks. She ain't going on coffee dates or meeting at pubs because nobody is wasting a dime sending her mid-ass a drink, not even a fucking V8. Everything she said was complete and utter cap to me, just being honest. She probably rides fifth shotgun in a group of real baddies, and that's only if there are 5 or less. You'll honestly see this biatch in Chipotle at 1 in the morning, nibbling on some chips over a shared burrito with some lazy Brad who's only going to take her basic practice girl cakes to Pound Town. When that lazy Brad takes her to his place, she's going to pull out all the bells and whistles before doing the walk of shame, and then she's coming back to her single apartment to make some more motherfucking TikTok videos. She's not just gaslighting her audience with that bullshit, she's doing it to herself. It's a cycle that repeats itself over and over again until she settles for the backup plan simp she's likely been stringing along the whole time as she goes questing for Mr. Goodbar on the cock carousel. If that's you, don't take that call. She will eventually settle, and do you know what that means, kings? Coffee date. Not even motherfucking Starbucks. I'm talking about the Korean donut shop on Century Boulevard. SYSBM means save yourself, black men. Peace out.
This message has been paid for by the Dusties. Yes, the niggas you love to hate.